All right. Good morning, Kevin.
Good morning, John. Great to see you.
Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday to you, sir.
Yes, and it is, let's see, February 8th, cruising through the month here. Um, Beautiful day today. Oh my gosh, nice to have a little bit warmer, a little sunshine out there, a little bit warmer, it looks like, and hot topic of discussion that I wanted to bring up today regarding some real estate investing. I thought first we would just kind of chat for just a minute about kind of some reactions going on in the mortgage industry and just kind of with interest rates right now. Interest rates had come down really nicely in the last month or so, and I've kind of heard some noise about certainly more buyer activity, and that was certainly affirming with, it's good to hear that. I know it's really slower right now. Not only are we in a seasonal lull, but we're kind of having the effects of the higher interest rate impact, but now we got interest rates that kind of came down, so buyer activity stepped up. From your perspective, it looks like interest rates may have jumped up here in the last day or so, but things are active for you.
Yeah, short term, there is definitely volatility. There's ups and downs as different news comes down the pike, but in general, we are on a downward trend. The enemy of mortgage rates is inflation. When inflation peaked in the fall, that's when mortgage rates peaked. As inflation is coming down slowly but surely, then mortgage rates are going to follow. They're going to come down slowly but surely. So It's going to take some time, and we'll have some ups and downs as we go along the way. So yeah, over the last month or so, we've seen some slow and steady progress, some improvements. The Fed meeting last week, they acted as expected, and a 0.25% raise in the rates. So really no impact on the mortgage world whatsoever, no impact on our rates. But then Friday, we had a jobs report that was a very strong jobs report, strong for jobs, strong for employment, openings, low unemployment. And that's bad for inflation and bad for mortgage rates. So we had a pretty big hit on Friday, and it rolled into Monday. Yesterday, Tuesday, things started to flatten back out. We made a tiny bit of gain back, but really insignificant. At least the bleeding stopped from that 2-day period. But you know what? In a week, it may be back down again. The key's just finding your house, finding a great mortgage person who knows the rate market and will watch out for you. Generally, we all get paid the same no matter what. Much like realtors, we get paid in most cases as a percentage of the mortgage amount. So we will work hard to get you the best rate, the best deal, make you as happy as possible, so that you tell all your friends and family and everybody how great we were. So don't hesitate to buy just because there's a little bit of news of ups and downs. You can get the right deal, you can get the right price, you can get the right mortgage. It's out there. You just have to be smart about it.
Yeah, I know some people just kind of having this conversation and they want to wait till rates come down. That's a speculative decision, and when you're speculating like that, you may miss out on a lot of opportunities. Right now, I'm seeing home prices, homes that were overpriced there's a lot of price adjustments in the market right now because they started out overpriced. And so now sellers are having to be a little bit more motivated. We still have a really crazy low inventory. We're at less than 3 months of inventory still here in the greater Williamsburg area. Still steady home sales. So it's not like sales just dropped off a cliff or something. But I just wanted to broach into that subject because, we're in this like battle, like it's this we're fighting inflation with interest rates, and then we're fighting the economy too. So as the economy is doing well, inflation's going to battle itself, and then interest rates are trying to keep this battle balanced. It's kind of this weird little tug of war.
Yeah, but if you're waiting for interest rates to come down, you're going to be battling higher home prices because home prices aren't coming down in this area. Yep. Lately, I've probably had, 5 customers in the last week or so make offers that they got outbid on. Yeah. It's getting competitive out there again. And it's going to get more so when spring comes.
Yep.
So when you're trying to wait to save a little bit on the interest rate, you're going to end up paying so much more overall by waiting. And when things really start to pick up this spring and summer. So now's really a great time to jump back in.
Yeah, and it takes a little bit of time to get things started in your home search. You really want to know what you're searching for. You got to know what your why is, understand what's your purpose, what's your goal, what's your life circumstances that's leading to that decision, and then start the process with a mortgage origination. Subject of our call today, glad we had a chance to talk about that, was really talking a little bit about asset protection. We broached into some subject matter last week, and you gave a wonderful presentation on Friday to the real estate group here about short-term rentals. And specifically, that is a particular investing strategy, is to use properties and generate income, cash flow with short-term rentals. Your returns on these short-term rentals are spectacular. Now, you've taken an amazing strategy with your home selection, where you chose to buy those properties, just strategically. And I love how you described how, usually when you're making an investment in a cash flow or an investment property, it's not emotional, but your strategy is about emotion, because you're looking for properties that stir the emotion and like, I want to stay in this place. And if it's something that you like and you're like, I could really see this being something cool that people would like, then that's likely to be, the outcome for those. And then you're creating that great experience with these short-term rentals. I think those are really key important things. But you have an asset protection strategy, which is core and key to anybody that's looking to get into real estate, is understanding how to protect your assets. And tell me a little bit about what you're doing with your ownership strategy. And even we talk a little bit about how you finance these.
Sure. Yeah, well, I am not an attorney, and I am not a real estate attorney, and I certainly recommend anybody contact one who needs true asset protection advice. Just from what I do, what my wife and I do, is really some basics at this point, and eventually we may want to sit in front of attorney as we grow a portfolio. But we hold all of our rentals as LLCs. And each one of them is its own LLC entity. So we purchase the property as an LLC. We go out and, when we find something we love and have to have, we'll go just create a new LLC. I do it really simple. I just go to LegalZoom.com and create it, and it's $100 or two. And it usually takes a week or so for them to do it. I think you could even do it in rush even faster than that, but that's plenty of time. And we just name it after the property that that we're buying, so we know the difference. Right. And then we hold the property in the LLC. Now that can cause a problem for financing if you are looking to finance the property. If you're buying it as an LLC, you can't use a traditional residential mortgage. Right. So you have to use a non-conforming mortgage, which your local mortgage people can probably do, or use a true commercial loan, which that you would need to go to a commercial bank or lender. Down payments are going to be similar to purchasing a residential investment property. Typically, a residential investment property, you're doing at least 20% down, 25% down to get decent rates and such. And it's going to be about the same for a commercial property. So down payments are about the same. Interest rates are probably going to be about the same. Difference with commercial financing is it's shorter terms. You typically don't get a 30-year, and it's pretty much always ARMs, always adjustable rate mortgages. You don't get like a 15 or 20-year fixed. It's only going to be fixed for a set amount of time. But then, over and beyond that, you want it to function as a business. So you can't just toss it into an LLC and be protected in the event something goes wrong. You actually have to show that it functions as a business. So then we go open up checking accounts in the name of each LLC. We put the utilities, we pay the bills out of that LLC. So they do function as their own independent business entity. And really the protection is, heaven forbid, if something went horribly wrong and over and above what our homeowners insurance and such would cover, and someone sued, then the worst they can do is take that LLC. They take that property, that LLC, unless there was like some sort of gross negligence on our part, then I think they can go even further. But that protects not only our personal assets, it offers a layer of protection at least, but also other properties. So if you hold all of your investment portfolio in one LLC, they could take your entire investment portfolio.
Yeah,
That's why we do each one separately.
Yep. So you brought up a number of really interesting topics there. This is not a substitute for homeowners insurance, because you still have your insurance, but this is a asset protection strategy in the event of, so you're really protecting yourself from legal liability. And then setting up the LLC, you mentioned the banking and so forth. So that, there's some, probably for some people, this sounds really complicated and almost like impossible to imagine, but I know you've done it. And it's, for those of you out there that are thinking about this kind of thing, talk to an attorney. There's no question that you should talk to an attorney. Just because Kevin knows how to do it doesn't mean, but there are avenues to do this, do it right. But when you get your LLC, you go to your bank, you can actually set up the bank account. You have to have an EIN. So you have to have an employee identification number, which you get from the IRS. And that becomes the entity that the bank recognizes through that EIN number. And that's how they set up the bank account. And then you can tie that to your personal account so you can transfer money back and forth depending on your bank, and all kinds of other kind of cool things that you can do with your funds that come in. But when your tenants pay you, they're not paying you, they're paying the LLC. And therefore you're channeling your flow of income goes through the LLC. And then you can take distributions how you want. You can take distributions and pay yourself as an S corp. Do you do that, by the way?
No, we do LLCs as a pass-through entity for tax purposes.
Yeah, and so as certain entities, it's probably just better to just do the pass-through in a lot of these cases, because to pay yourself as an S corp, you're taking a salary and you got to pay yourself accordingly, salary base and stuff like that. Well, this is really cool stuff, Kevin. These are, I don't want to say advanced investing, the kind of in the lines of basics. I know a lot of people will say, oh my gosh, well, I got to set up my LLC before I do real estate investing. And I contradict that belief, because the first thing to do if you want to be a real estate investor is to become a real estate investor and not worry about the entity structure. I don't want to misportray that you got to do this first. What you want to do is start creating wealth for yourself by learning real estate investing. Do some real estate investing. It's not a get rich quick scheme. This is get rich for certain if you do it right and take the right approach. But it's not always easy, but it is relatively simple. They just have to have and follow certain processes and you want to know what you're doing. And you guys know what you're doing. And that's really good.
And you don't have to know what you're doing. You just need to know the right people to ask.
That's
fair point. Good realtor to help you find properties. You get yourself a good financing person, and you get yourself a real estate attorney. You're going to need someone to do the closing, the title work anyway. That same real estate attorney can set up the LLC. They can advise on these protections. They can advise on all of that. So you don't need to know everything. You just need to call a few people that do.
Yeah, and there's a lot of great resources out there to learn this kind of stuff. Well, Kevin, we are 21 minutes past the hour of 10 o'clock on February 8th, and you have a busy day, I'm sure, and I've got a lot of stuff on my plate here this morning. So this is awesome, again, to talk about these subjects. We will look forward to sharing more information. Again, we are here to share information with you out there in the world so that you can learn more about making smart decisions in real estate and with mortgages, and to avoid costly mistakes. Kevin is here with Alcova Mortgage. His contact information will be right here in the description on the page, and you're welcome to message me if you have any real estate related questions. I'm John with the Memory Group right here in Williamsburg. We are both coming to you right here in Williamsburg. We serve the greater Williamsburg Peninsula area here of Virginia. Would love to hear any questions that you have. And if you have any comments, please don't hesitate to leave the comments here. We want you to like the page, though, share it with your friends, And we look forward to hearing any questions and comments that you guys have. Kevin, any other further comments on your side of the equation?
No, I was just thinking now, looking at myself in this camera, reminding me I need to get in shape. My wife actually said to me this morning that I should start doing lunges to stay in shape. That'd probably be a big step forward.
Okay. That would be a big step forward, huh?
But bump.
That's pretty good. So, it's Wednesday, it's getting closer to happy hour for this week. There's two guys that walked into a bar. The third guy ducked.
Yeah,
All
I was
right.
waiting for a good walked into a bar joke.
On that note, we will depart and leave everybody to their wonderful Wednesday. Kevin, I look forward to talking with you again next week, and we look forward to helping you with mortgages and real estate. Talk to you later.
Cool.